ABWA.
That's what your sisters are here for. Hopefully I won't use all of those.
We have one more time.
You do? Okay, great, fantastic. It's great to see all your smiling faces. This is quite a moment for me, and I will not look at Teen Apples, or else I will lose it. She happens to be sitting next to Ivy and Royer, or the two biggest crybabies I've ever known. I want to start with telling you a story about me when I was a little kid. When I was about 8 years old, growing up in California, I loved to swim. I loved it so much you could hardly keep me out of the pool, and so my mom enrolled me in some swimming lessons. Well, I took to it like a fish to water, and I quickly excelled. So much so that when I graduated from the swim school, I got the highest grade you could get in the school, the honor of a dolphin. Now that Christmas, my mom allowed me to pick out one of those kids' football uniforms from the Sears catalog. Now, while many parents may have chastised their daughters for wanting a football uniform, one of the many things I will always appreciate about my mom is that she embraced and supported my individuality and never made me feel ashamed or inferior for not gravitating towards frilly dresses and the like. She would have loved to have had me careful. And she let me pick any football uniform I want. Well, this was 1984, and for those of you who follow football, particularly in South Florida, it was a pretty big year for the Miami Dolphins. Yes. So naturally, I got the uniform with the number 13, and my love of the Dolphins quickly became an unwavering loyalty to the Miami Dolphins. Now, growing up in Southern California, one of the best places you can go is SeaWorld in San Diego, where we were just a few weeks ago. The summer after my swimming school triumph, and after nursing the wounds from a Super Bowl defeat for my Miami Dolphins, my mom took me, my sister, and my brother to SeaWorld. Where do you think was the first place I wanted to hit? The dolphin show. Well, this may come as a surprise to some of you, but I was a pretty adorable kid. I know what happened, right? So naturally, while we were sitting waiting for the show to start, a trainer came up to me and said, "Would you like to be in the show and pet the dolphins?" Well, my mom and my sister's face lit up. My brother could barely care less. They were so excited that I was being approached. So what do you think I did? I turned beet red, put my head down, and I said a firm no. My family couldn't believe it, but there was no changing my mind. You see, my instinct was to be shy and introverted. I never wanted any attention drawn to me outside of my family. So I sat in the stands while another kid got to be in the show at the Dolphins. Now fast forward about 7 years later when I was in high school, and I was in class one day and we were talking about regrets. And for the first time I thought about that day at SeaWorld. And when my mom picked me up from school, I burst into tears. Well, she immediately wanted to know what kid she had to beat up. But through my tears, I told her that I was upset that I didn't pet Dolphin. Now, understandably, at first, she was a little confused as to what I was talking about, but finally she remembered. And I was just so disappointed because I realized what a great opportunity I had missed. I was disappointed because I had a fear of taking a risk, of being myself, of doing something in front of other people that was so important to me. I was afraid of looking stupid, of making a mistake. So I just didn't take a chance. I have to tell you, I'm very excited to be here this weekend. It's been an amazing conference, has it not? And our focus has been the value of membership, and I know each one of us, we got to hear 4 remarkable stories just today, have our own ABWA story that truly embodies our values. And I want to share how my dolphin story connects to ABWA. I truly didn't know the value of ABWA until I was chosen as the 2010 Top 10. I remember like it was yesterday. I heard, Mom, is that I remember like it was yesterday sitting in my office and whose name should come across my caller ID but National President Vicki Marlette. Now I had the same experience that a lot of us do when that happens. I mean, mine yesterday would have called it a triggering event. beginning of my journey, knew my mom and many of the obstacles I had experienced. And while I was mostly stunned, I will never forget how giddy she was, because she knew something I didn't. My life was about to change, and ABWA was about to take me places I never imagined. Here, as your national vice president. That conference in Kansas City where I was honored as a top 10 was the start of one of the most amazing changes in me. For the first time in my life, I opened up about myself and took the risk to share things I thought you all would judge me for. Primarily my work in the gay community, and that I was in fact a part of that community. But rather than judging me or making me feel ashamed, you all embraced me, supported me, celebrated me. And I became a more confident, outgoing Lorie than I ever thought possible because of you. That night at our banquet, after I had given my speech where I talked about who I am and the work that I do, a member came up to me and grabbed my shoulders and said, "Thank you. Thank you for what you do and what you do for my daughter." Ladies, in that moment, my life, my course forever changed. I realized that this fear that I held inside me, this fear that I thought I had to keep from you, well, I realized that my journey wasn't about me at all. It was about anybody like me who is uncomfortable in her own skin, self-conscious, scared, afraid to take a risk. In that moment, ABWA became my safe place, and you became my family. Now when I'm at an ABWA event, I think back to that little Lorie who was so afraid and insecure and ashamed to pet the dolphin. And I think about the teenage Lorie who was so disappointed that she didn't take the opportunity, that risk. And I realize how much I've grown and how secure and confident I feel in your presence. And that confidence has carried into my life and brought me success I could have never imagined. I'm a better business owner, lawyer, friend, a better person. I've had the courage to speak to churches, debate at Southern Methodist University Law School, and even appear on TV discussing issues in my work that I would have never been brave enough if it weren't for this association. When I speak, I know I am not alone. I have the support of all my sisters, my family. What you have given me reignites this passion to stay on this leadership path, to take every opportunity I can to share my story so that others like me can experience what I have, so that others can learn the true value of the American Business Women's Association.